Hello, friends. It's time for Talk for Dodge, the show that uncovers the stories behind the houses and the heart of our community. I'm Jeremiahjcondon.
And I'm Todd McCubbin, and today we are here with our new Main Street coordinator, director, whatever. She'll introduce herself in a minute. But before we talk to her, let's do a quick market update.
Market update. We know about the rates, how they have dropped.
Yep.
And speaking to a lender just earlier today, they locked somebody in at a 5.35%.
Wow.
That's awesome. And that's like right around $120,000 loan, which is pretty on par average to
We're getting there.
1.35, that's awesome.
That's where we need to be. I think once we get under 5, that's when things are really going to start to change.
And I don't know why this is a market update, but I just have to talk about it because it's about Fort Dodge. I was talking to one of my sellers that moved here, lived here for 2 years, and now he moved away and the house is on the market. And he goes, how come nobody in Fort Dodge ever talks about the water pressure?
What's wrong with the water pressure? I guess I've always lived here.
No,
I don't
not
know
wrong.
the difference.
Our water pressure is amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it, Dodge.
Yeah.
I was worried.
Have you ever noticed when you go out of town or you go somewhere else, the water pressure is like not very hard?
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, he's like, oh my gosh, because wherever he's at now is like, I feel like I don't even get wet in the shower. And it's like, gosh, I remember going to Iowa City and be like, is this all the way on? Like, what's going on here?
If you ever go somewhere where it's got like super, super hard water pressure, like there are certain big buildings and stuff where they actually bring the water pressure in and they have a pump there that makes it what it should be if it's not. Mm-hmm. But it's like this super, super hard water pressure. And then you come back home and you're like, yeah, this is good. But my gosh, that last shower I was in was unbelievable. But then you go to the cabin or something or you're at an Airbnb and it's like, okay, the water pressure just barely comes out.
Yeah, so I thought it'd be good to start the show off talking about showers with Todd and Jeremiah. It really brings people in.
Yes, it does. Do we have a house of the week to talk about?
I don't. We have so many good houses.
I do. I just got one today. 1990 10th Avenue North. It's a little brick bungalow, 2-bedroom, 1 bath at $124,900.
And if you like activities,
it's close to everything. Mm-hmm. And you can watch football, Dodger football in the backyard. So you can start a bonfire. They actually have a little fire pit in the back. So you can start a bonfire and watch Dodger football, St. Ed's football, Iowa Central football,
10 Fridays,
band competitions.
10 Fridays in a row you get football games.
Heck yeah. And then Iowa Central plays on some Saturdays. They have band competitions on the weekend. So there's some really cool, just sitting there watching it happen. You can walk wherever you want to. The trail's close. So really neat house.
Walking their dogs, the tennis.
Yep. Call Todd today.
No pickleball.
Check this out.
People are still playing tennis.
Oh, they are. And can you play pickleball in a tennis court?
You can, but they're different lines.
Oh, it'd be a lot more
And
exercise.
the net is different. So, I mean, you and I could play, but if we're like real dead serious, we'd have to.
Yeah, we'd have to go to the pickleball course. At least you're on the trail so you can ride your bike or walk to the pickleball court.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, now on to the guest of honor. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Mary Green-Warnstadt. I'm the new executive director of Main Street Fort Dodge. And so I'm so excited to be here with you.
Awesome.
Yay.
Well, this brought you to the community, but why did you choose Fort Dodge? You were close here before, weren't you?
So I'm originally from Central Iowa, and with Highway 20, I had been living in Sioux City for about 20 years, and so we would stop by here every once in a while. Both my children went to Iowa State, and so this is a great little stop-off place to be able to stretch your legs, and sometimes even stay here if we had something where Ames was totally booked or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so just been around the community a little bit like that, and then also the Iowa Museum Association, so I used to work for a museum, had a conference here in 2019, and I was just so impressed with the community and how they really rolled out the red carpet for us. And so when I saw this opportunity came available, I thought, wow, this would be a great place where you could really make a stamp on the community and help you grow and make it downtown a great place.
That's awesome. And we have talked about that, how, coming into Fort Dodge in the last 10 years, since, they've tore the mall down and really started to revitalize downtown. And they went we were Main Street years and years and years ago, and then they let it go, and then they redid it when Chris Patrick was the first Main Street director. And you're almost on the ground floor because we have built so much, and there's so much more to go that you're kind of hitting this on the ground floor and going to watch this community build around you. So you get to be one of those those key people that actually changed the community. So thank you for choosing Fort Dodge, and hopefully people look back and say, do you remember Mary when she green, and the Main Street director, and we got this done, and the Main Street looks so different than it did, and I just think it's awesome to have you here.
She sounds like Coach Campbell when he came to Iowa State as Toledo coach. And he's like, wow, this is a really nice place. I wonder what it'd be like to coach here.
That's right.
So here you are.
Yeah.
Just like Coach Campbell.
And that's why I wore my Iowa State shirt today.
So what excites you the most about taking on the Main Street Fort Dodge director position?
I think just working with all the people here in the community. So again, having gone to that conference, and then when I met people, when I came back to the community to, see about this position and talk about what we could do in downtown, people were just so enthusiastic. I mean, the love of this city. I've had somebody call it the best hometown in America. I mean, that's how people feel about Fort Dodge. And that's contagious, quite frankly. It makes you want to be a part of it and be a part of the energy and the excitement. And so I have yet to meet, I'm sure they will eventually, some naysayers, but for the most part, people have been really enthusiastic. We're going to do what in downtown? I mean, they want to be a part of that too. And so just building on that energy is something I look forward to.
It really has. And it's changed a lot. And I think as we go forward, you can agree or disagree. I think that the city really wants to start making downtown their priority. They've kind of got the mall cleaned up. They've got the outskirts. We're getting the industry involved. The housing's starting to come around. And I really think Main Street's kind of the last piece of that puzzle. And I think it fixes some housing problems too. And maybe we can talk about that later, of how downtown does house a lot of people and can continue to. So you've lived in Sioux City. You've lived here. There's always those similarities between Sioux City and here. What are some of the cool similarities that you get the bigger city of Sioux City, then you get Fort Dodge? What does Fort Dodge compare to that, and what's cool?
Well, it's funny because Sioux City talks about itself being Little Chicago, but I've also seen some history here where they like to also refer to themselves as Little Chicago. So I think that's kind of an interesting connection there that I hadn't anticipated necessarily. But just that historic downtown, that you had these buildings that were really grand in their day, but yet, over the years, you see the wear and tear. And so Sioux City, when I first moved there, was really on the cusp of some of this redevelopment. There's a section of Sioux City called Historic 4th Street. That's what we call it now, but people that are older than myself would laugh and say, that's not what it used to be called. It used to be called Lower 4th Street. And as everything you can imagine that would go, the debauchery that go along with that. And I've heard some stories. So I haven't yet heard any stories here, except for maybe an Al Capone story that are as nefarious. But certainly there's that sense of, kind of maybe, was let go for a little while. There was some, the economy changed. Fort Dodge is not unique in this story of a mall was built, downtown was vacant, then the mall went vacant, and then what do we do now? And so this is a common thread. I mean, Des Moines has gone through it. That's another place I've lived. I worked in downtown Des Moines as well, and worked in downtown Sioux City. And so I see that common thread that is really a story of America, to tell you the truth. It's not unique. And that's frankly why the whole Main Street movement or organization throughout the country has grown, because we see the need to preserve these historic structures, to get people back downtown. Downtowns are really the heart of a city, and you can have all these great developments out. This will be wonderful with the new plaza and all the things they're doing out in the old mall area, but you want to be able to bring people back to the downtown and show them the history and show them what the investment in our community is all about.
It's cool. And so there's a picture over here, and it's the Garmel building next to Shiny Top, and it's got that green little parapet on the side. And I just look at some of these old pictures of Central Avenue that we have around the studio, and I just think, how cool would that have been in the day, and how can we make that happen again now and bring that feel back where this was the place to be. And I think I like Court Avenue in Des Moines and places like that they've been successful bringing that downtown back and making it cool again, and people want to live there, and they want to see it grow and do stuff. So
it's like the cover of the Webster County book with JFK going down
Yeah.
downtown.
Yep.
It's like, that's cool.
Yep.
That's Fort Dodge.
That's
He did it to all these little communities, but that was Fort Dodge.
This was us. Yep. So what is your role as Main Street Director?
Well, to give you a little background about the Main Street organization, we're part of Main Street, Iowa, and so there's over 50 other communities that are part of that as well. And then that is part of Main Street America. So this whole network of communities, sharing ideas, sharing, common, problems maybe too, but, working on solutions together. And so it's really a great organization to be a part of. So I am bringing back a lot of that information to Fort Dodge, a lot of those ideas. And it's really, though, my board and volunteers in the community that are going to make these things happen. I'm a one-person show, so to speak, and so I can only do so much. And so we are blessed to have so many volunteers that step up and take on projects in the community and help showcase what's going on.
That's amazing. Without volunteers, there's nothing.
Exactly. And so I couldn't do what I do without volunteers. And so we're always encouraging more people to become involved in Main Street. There's some fun ways, like through some of our promotion activities. We have the merchants group that meets and gets together, and Mary Kay Daniel, she's just phenomenal. She was awarded a Main Street, Iowa award for her volunteerism, and she's really one of the leaders in our organization with Lunch on Central. We have a trick-or-treat night, Small Business Saturday, and Mary on Main Street. And those are just some of the activities we do in the community to get people back downtown.
So that sounded like some goals there. Are there key goals and initiatives that you have kind of set into place?
Well, we're still working on some of those. So I've been on board about 3 months now, and that's been a learning process. I was at a meeting yesterday where they joked, you're really still new to Main Street after 2 years. I mean, once you're here 2 years, then you're kind of the pro, because there is so much to learn. There's different committees and different focus areas. So we focus on economic vitality, design, organization, and promotion. Those are the 4 points of the Main Street program. And so each of those have their own goals and objectives. Right now, we're really doing a lot with our promotion area, like I mentioned, those events. And but we also want to look at other ways to really spur the economic vitality of the community as well.
It is cool how I'm in the Main Street Merchants because of Shiny Top, and Nate won't go, so I go. So I was there the other day, and I'm like, it's just so much fun to get all those. And was that your first meeting?
It was, yes.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Of course, Mary Kay takes over like she always does. Being on a board with Mary Kay is the best thing in the world, because you come up with ideas and she just does everything. So I hope she doesn't hear I said that out loud, but I think I've told her already. And she just takes charge and just does it. It's like so awesome, and just, okay, Todd, you're doing this, you're doing this. So having somebody, and she deserves that award. She really, really does.
She does.
So yeah, at the Main Street Merchant meeting the other day, it was so much fun seeing all those people sitting around in a room, just coming up with ideas. How do we bring people here? What worked before? What doesn't work? We've had a couple, like, this was a cool promotion before, but it just didn't work like we think it would. So having you there and having somebody to help coordinate, that's awesome. But what I wanted to ask is other successes. You said there's over 50 Main Street programs all over the country, right? Or is that just Iowa?
That's just Iowa.
Just Iowa. Are there other successes when you go to these meetings to say, hey, this is what's worked really well for us, and how can we kind of take some of those things and move with them?
Well, one of the things I've been able to share is our partnership with the city, and how we have the SMID. That's what Main Street, how we're funded. And so some of the communities don't have that. So all they're doing, they have to constantly be fundraising to be able to, even have an organization. Mm-hmm. So we're really fortunate that the business community downtown said, this is important enough that we're willing to take on this extra tax, and that's what it is, yep, to be able to fund these programs. And so I keep that in mind all the time with everything that I do, to make sure that they can see the return on their investment in downtown, because that's really what it's all about. It's getting, that that organization going and being strong and helping to grow the downtown. And so I'm constantly focused on that. And that's what I take to other communities as well if they're considering having a SMID is, this is what you have to be able to show the merchants and the businesses and the property owners downtown that this is worth it. And so I think that this community has agreed a couple times to that premise, or several times over the years. And it's nice because this community does a 10-year SMID rather than some just do 5. So literally you're getting it passed, and it would have to feel like, boy, I have to go and
we got to market this before we even and go door to door, and that takes a lot of time.
It is, and it's very time consuming. So to have that long window, here, and but I always keep that in mind because that is who my customer is, so to speak. It's who I need to be gearing my efforts towards. And so we're just looking at to continue the momentum of getting that passed in 2022 and then building on the successes we've had in the community. Little things, like the dog park, that was, something that when I first came on, that was dedicated. And so what else can we do to make downtown really attractive like that?
To bring people here. And we've done other things. I mean, they had the DTR grant, which did a bunch of the 1000 block, and I think they've done a couple other projects. And, we've had some fails downtown. When you look at the Boston Center, just had those bricks fall off the front of it. And then we had when Koozies was still open, we had the whole side fall off that building from just neglect over the years. And one of the companies,
and normal wear and tear.
And then, of course, the old Hayloft building or whatever studio building starting to fall over, and that's becoming an issue. And I see the city's trying to take that up now. So, I mean, you see all these buildings, and I think as Main Street coordinator, putting something together for even a structural analysis of what buildings need attention sooner than later, and getting to that stuff and is an important project. And I've talked to Chris about that many, many times to say, hey, you know what? The buildings I own downtown are actually in pretty good shape. I need a little bit of tuck pointing on one of them still. But to have somebody to go downtown and say, hey, I see an issue here, I see an issue here. How do we address these issues so we don't lose any more of these cool historic buildings?
We are looking at individual buildings and seeing what we can do to maybe repurpose them from their original intent. And because certainly the needs of the market have changed. And so you mentioned housing. We're certainly looking at those upper stories to be able to, renovate into housing. And we apply for grants through Main Street, Iowa, where we can get some funding to help accomplish those goals. So we're going to continue to be pushing some of those, funding mechanisms and helping people to rehab these buildings.
That's awesome because it really needs to happen. And I don't want to see any more buildings go because it's just sad when these historic buildings start falling over and stuff starts happening to them and they're structurally unsound. So
right. You really have to catch it kind of early is the thing.
Yeah.
Do you have any projects that you're working on right now that we're excited about?
Well, as I mentioned, these events coming up, that really is kind of the first step to have people thinking of here's downtown as a vital entity in our community. And so, but there's a lot of different things, some of that we're analyzing our direction as a board and as a organization, because we want to make sure we're being responsive to feedback from business owners and taking, working with the city to address some of the issues that we see downtown. And so it's just kind of been a process of just refocusing our efforts in a direction. And certainly, Main Street America encourages that as well. So, I spent yesterday learning about transformational strategies. And so how you look at transforming your downtown and it's incremental. This isn't going to happen overnight. So you have to look at what does success look like in 3 months, 6 months, a year. But then there's a longer time horizon too that this is going to take.
Yep.
I always kind of think about it I always thought Shiny Top was, changed that whole block. And it kind of did because we took a really crappy bar that was shut down and made it into a brewery and kind of expanded that. And then after we did that, Steve Daniels did the building across the street and made that all pretty. And then Dave did Lifestyles Furniture and made that. And that won awards because of the new brick on the front of it. So I always thought, I was the catalyst to make that happen with Shiny Top. And then Plotz comes to me one day and goes, the library was the catalyst that made all that happen. You were just there to help a little bit. And I'm like, wow, that put me back in my place.
I thought he was going to say Yeah. Where's your awards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he goes, yeah, the library did that, Todd. You're just kind of in the, and I'm like, you know what? That's true. They put all that money in the library, moved it to the square. And yeah, that was 15, 20 years ago. It's already on its second roof. Because I was on the library board when that happened.
Well, I will say I was in a community yesterday, and that's one thing they really want on their wish list is a brewery downtown. So I feel like, hey, we're ahead of the curve
Hey, we
there.
got two of them.
Yeah. So how great is that? Because that's really something that people want in their community, but they haven't, with COVID, they had one, and it didn't work out. And so you guys have survived that. And so that's great. And people, and frankly, that's one of the things I remember from that museum conference I was talking about. So we started off the evening at River Hops, and there was that that little park across the way, and they had reenactors in that block, and so we spent some time down there. But then as the hour started going, it's like, let's go down to Shiny Top. Well, that's supposed to be really cool, and they had pizza, by the way, and so let's go. So I distinctly remember making the walk down there. It was a beautiful fall night, and seeing the courthouse with the moon shining on it and all these buildings, and just thinking, wow, this is really cool. I would never have thought to spend this much time downtown. I'd been to Fort Dodge, several times over the years, and but to really be there and kind of get that ambiance, and it's like that's what you want to capture, and
so
sell
pretty.
to people. Yeah.
And I love that walk back and forth, just being down there and just walking down. And the way you were going, you had the flag in front of you, and you're going into the gazebo and seeing the library, and I just love that view and love making that walk.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah, it's probably interesting, like seeing what other cities and stuff do too, because I'm sure they're all completely different. I mean, I went to Denver to see my sister, and she goes, "Oh, we have to go down and to one section where they have like 16 city blocks where in the back alley they painted both sides of the wall or something." And they said that when we were going down there, she's like, it was kind of a dying area, and then it just kind of picked right back up because so many tourism. Whatever wanted to come, little restaurants picked back up, little shops, and it really picked things up. And it was just letting a bunch of random people paint in the alleys.
Yeah.
Right. That is one of the things we're looking at. Actually, we talk about projects. We are entering a contest that will help get a mural here. So if we have people get online and vote in mid-October, we're working together on that. We would like to see more public art, more murals here in the community, especially in the downtown. And so I'm working with a committee to make that happen because that is something that draws people. We especially want one that says Fort Dodge.
Yes.
People need to have that sense of place and have a little selfie station. And you see a lot of other communities, even smaller than Fort Dodge, who have these. And so
I Heart
all
FD.
over Mexico.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
the Caribbean, everywhere you go,
right.
you see these I Heart Aruba, I Heart whatever, and I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I really want to get going short term, and then looking long term at more of these, places that we could put different art from local artists as well. So it's just, we're hoping to make some energy in that regard as well. So, it is great going around to these other communities. I try to focus on the, what they call micropolitans, ones that are about our size, 20 to 30,000 people. And, you can see how they've taken some of the issue areas and really turned them into these great areas. So I'm going down to Ottumwa in a couple weeks, and they're hosting a conference because they want to show off what they have done, in their community. And so they've been featured by the National Main Street Association. And it's funny because the acronym for the organization museums I used to belong to is the same as the acronym for the Main Street. So
it's hard to miss those.
Yeah, and so and I was 20 years at that job, and so sometimes I catch myself, and but part of it is I love history, and so then being a community with all these historic buildings is really great. So I'll catch myself every once in a while doing that.
That's okay. I would do the same thing.
We should find a building to do like underground tours, like the big cities do.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, did they ever have any, Prohibition era, speakeasies around here?
We had some tunnels.
Oh, yeah.
But I think they're all filled in.
I think they're all filled in now. And then the other building that had a speakeasy was where Real Deals was.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, there was a speakeasy upstairs. Okay. And then,
but even like down 10th Avenue North in the old Fort Dodge area, there's a couple of those houses that they brought the coal in through a tunnel as well.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, that's been interesting seeing some of the old coal, burners down in some of these basements. They're still there, not being used, but they're still there. And I thought, gosh, there must be a market for somebody they could get those out, get those in a museum. That's what what my thought was. And
I think there's enough of them still, but I always think of Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin when he goes down in the basement and they burn it. Every once in a while you get in a house like that and you're like, oh, that's so creepy.
Yeah.
You just see it making noise. And how do... And you've only been here a little time, but how do you get people involved with Main Street?
Well, one of the things we're doing on Thursday, September 26th, we're having a meet and greet. And officially it's to meet me, but I hope everybody wants to meet the whole board too and see all these great volunteers that we have. But it's going to be at River Hops from 4:30 to 6:30. And people can come out and just talk to us about Main Street and talk to us about what they see as some of the great things we could be doing in the community. I'm sure there might be a few complaints here and there about certain things, but we want to really focus on what can we do in the community to make this downtown so vibrant and alive for people. So we're going to have that. That's the first step. And we'll have opportunities, where you could sign up to volunteer if you'd like. I mean, I don't want to be overly pushy on it. Maybe you want to see us in action a little bit, but we really have these great committees that we're, trying to get going again and all this. This position was vacant for a little bit, so we are trying to really build some momentum again, and especially summer. Summer's like a terrible time to try to get volunteers.
It's so
it's
hard.
like everybody takes a break. They're like checked out, and so we really see a lot of enthusiasm starting to build again, and so we're just trying to leverage that and get people involved again.
So when is that meet and greet?
That is September 26th. And it's a Thursday, and we just are wanting to come out and talk to us. We'll have some appetizers, so that's good.
What time is it?
It's 4:30 to 6:30.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to meet more people. I've been out to different meetings, done everything from go to, like food pantry meetings to business meetings, just meeting all of the people that make up the downtown area and provide services, whether that's a business or a nonprofit.
So how important do you think the local heritage and history is in shaping the future of the downtown?
I think that is something that gives a community a sense of place, a sense of here is what makes us unique. And so I told you, I came from the museum world, and seeing how a community has a certain character about it, it's what makes it special. And so that's something you can't replicate with, a suburban area, or, even small towns have their own character. And so Fort Dodge, having had so many people here over the years that have gone on to other places, when they come home you want them to see that character is still here. And so I am really focused on making Fort Dodge unique and building on its history. Sure, I want to get other ideas from other communities that have made it happen, but then we would tailor it to Fort Dodge and not have some cookie cutter thing. Mm-hmm. We want it to be something that's organic, that is something that grows from our volunteers' interest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and what Fort Dodge always was. I mean, we talked in the meeting the other day about shagging the drag and doing stuff like that. Like, I mean, you grew up doing that. I talked about
it too when I did a tour of Fort Dodge yesterday.
Yeah, remember going, you could bumper to bumper traffic all the way up and down Central Avenue.
My client was from deep south, and she's like, what does shag mean? And it's like, and I started laughing. I was like, I don't know. Drive slow, look at other cars.
That's right.
Say
hi to all your friends.
Right. Well, yeah, but where I was from, they called it scooping the loop. So when I first heard the shag, the drag, I was like, well, that, I got to give you points for originality, because everywhere else I lived, it was called scooping the loop. So yeah. So points for originality to Fort Dodge. I think that's great. And so, yeah, having an event doing something with that, bringing that back in some manner or form, and putting our own, modern twist on it, so to speak. I think
it'd be funny to even do it and say like only 65 and older can do it this year, and everyone else has to like stand by and watch and see how they did it.
A demonstration type thing. Yeah.
And then they'll be like, yeah, those young bucks don't know what's going on.
That's right. They don't know how to do this.
We'll show them how to do it this year, and then they can jump in next year.
Yeah, when I was young, it was the thing to do, and I always say I'm old, but I'm older than him. So, I mean, yeah, it was...
Man, you must be old.
Yeah, terrible. So you only have to be 50 to remember Shag the Drag, not
I'm so 60. Young, we made fun of old people at Shag the Drag.
That's right, like me. So coming into a new position, and this, I don't know if you read this question yet, but what are some of the challenges that you think you're going to face in this, and how do you plan on tackling them?
There's always the mentality of, oh, this is the way we've always done it, so we have to keep doing it this way. Or there's something we tried that once and it didn't work. And so while I certainly want to learn from past experiences, perhaps you want to try it maybe in a slightly different way or come at it from this angle, and let's have that dialogue on, okay, what did you try and maybe why didn't it work? And, just keeping that dialogue open. I don't come in here thinking I have all the answers for Fort Dodge. I mean, that's not what this position's all about. Yeah. It is having those conversations with people, listening to people. What do you want Fort Dodge to be? What do you want this downtown to look like? What kind of activities would you want to come down here to do? And so it's not, I sometimes hesitate about the whole history part because, of course, I have a total bias to history because I love it. But but as I talk to people, I'm hearing a lot of that too. So it's not just me.
We have a really colorful history in Fort Dodge. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so it's wonderful, and to be able to build off that, and then bring in these new components. One of the things I see is people are really into pets here. So is there something we could do around that? We have the Bark Park now, but is there something more we could do? And and we have a lot of businesses and corporations that are related to animals and pets and this whole agriculture and background
I think there's more dogs in this office than people.
That's
Every
the
time we come
Some
here.
days.
Yeah, you walk into an office and they've got the dog right there. So people love their pets right here.
Yes.
And I don't think that's actually not just a Fort Dodge thing. That's like a national trend because, a lot of the millennials and younger are thinking, maybe I want to have kids, but I definitely got to have a dog.
I gotta have a dog.
And so I think there's some opportunities there. And, but again, it's just having those conversations. Is there something that we could build around that? What would be a good use of this, particular area that's sitting vacant right now? Having that dialogue, not only, with the business owners, with the, residents, but, with the city and bringing all players to the table so we can have these conversations together.
Yeah, just have an open mind.
Yeah, exactly. I'm here to build consensus so that we have that common vision. So, I'm 3 months in. I don't have the total vision for Fort Dodge because that's going to take a while to build. We need to build the trust, amongst people, and we also need to have everyone participate in having those conversations. So I'm looking into ways to do some research and some surveys and things like that so we can really get the pulse of the community.
And this is just another one of those shows where we have to say, like, volunteers. Like if you're intrigued and you want to help and a small community. I had somebody come to town one time and their wife was going to be working, and he chose this community because he wasn't going to work, but he wanted to be able to do something in the community, and be known. And it's like, this is exactly like one of those things. Like, you can have a voice. In a smaller community, and it could be a big voice if you make it a bigger voice, and have an impact, I should say.
And like we talked about at the beginning of the show, you're on the ground floor here. I mean, we're still in the first few years of this happening. With downtown, we're still in, there's still an incubator that can grow and grow and grow. So if you want to leave your name on something, this is a great place to leave your name. And people remember you more so than just, you lived here, hey, you know what, they made a difference and they did something cool.
When we had the city in here talking about the bike trail, the mountain bike trail, that was all volunteers. They got a committee together, and
did you know we have a mountain bike trail?
I absolutely do, because my kids would love that. And I said they're adult children, but that's something I'm like, okay, come visit. And
they said they're all hand carved. They dug every one of them out with a shovel. So tell your kids, come try this trail. It's supposed to be amazing.
Well, Sioux City just put one in. I thought, well, Fort Dodge had it first, so
And I'm sure Sioux City's was done with caterpillars and everything else. This one was done with a shovel. It's pretty cool. So being 3 months from Fort Dodge, what do you think Fort Dodge's best kept secret is?
I would say, again, I'll go back to the people. The people are really what make this community. Like I said, I had to leave a lot behind, some family members in Sioux City and all that to be able to come here and, get involved. But people just made it so enticing because they had so much energy. And I love people with energy. I love seeing people want to just roll up their sleeves and get to work and get things done. People can kind of, some people just like to sit around and say, well, someone should do that. Someone should do that. And I was a volunteer in Sioux City, and I did a lot of different projects in the community to make it a better place. And so I'm, looking to come here and, help harness that kind of energy that I see that's already here. That, it just needs a little bit of, channeling, and so that we can all work together and be on the same page. So that's what really excites me about the community. I
never thought of it that way because I've known these people my whole life. But yeah, it is cool, and there's a lot of energy here you don't see other places.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not, they're in all different age groups too. That's the thing too. I think it's really, and everyone works together. There, people seem to really want to have that collaborative spirit.
Yeah. Stop talking about it and just do it.
They do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Here we just do it.
Yeah. And so that's what you want to see.
Yeah. At Kesterson Realty, we had some overgrown bushes and this and that. And it's like, we need to get to that. And then all of a sudden, randomly on a Friday, we just started ripping everything out. And it's like,
let's be clear. It was Jeremiah on a random Friday when the rest of us were busy. And he's like, can you help with this? Can you help with this? And he just drove us all
Everybody was not crazy busy.
Yeah. We were all a little, I was out there helping. Everybody else was inside wondering why Jeremiah was doing all this.
Well, because it ended up being like 120 degrees outside.
It was hot. We had to go home, take showers, and it was fun.
And that's the great thing, is moving into fall now. So if we are doing some of these things, hopefully that's the thing. Yeah, I have a lot of business visits ahead of me, and I just couldn't bring myself to want to get out there in that and asking volunteers to join me, by the way, in the 100-degree heat. So I thought now is the perfect time to be going out. So if people don't, come to my meet and greet, well, I'm going to come out and meet you anyway. So you might as well just come on your time while you can get some goodies, some food, and come to River Hop. So I hope people will join for that event so I can meet more people.
Let's talk a little bit more about the heat and how many people you have to meet. Now, Fort Dodge is one of the largest Main Street areas in the state, isn't it? It's, as far as the amount of buildings and blocks you cover.
33 blocks. And I've talked to a lot of people, again, these micropolitans, and they have 22. One had 29, so it's close. But we're kind of spread out a little bit, too. And, so it's a huge area to cover. There's over, I believe, 160 businesses. We have a downtown directory, so all these businesses are listed. And it's a daunting task. I feel like, I met all these people, and then I look and I'm like, these are all the people I need to meet. So, there's
150 on here still.
Right, yeah. I thought I was doing a good job of getting out there and meeting people, but, it's always going to be a constant. And then, obviously places turn over, new buyers, new renters.
I can only imagine how hard that directory is to keep up.
Oh, that's the thing. Yeah. We're trying.
Could be a full-time
It's
job.
like a moving target, because we keep thinking, okay, we're done. And no, we need to add this. And so then,
where's John? John hasn't been here for 3 years.
Right. So it is a constant, challenge. And we go all the way from, if people are trying to visualize what is Main Street geographically, it's from that Fairway Street, so where that street is, all the way to the Budget Hotel. And that's being redone. I don't know if everybody's been by there.
I did drive by it the other day. Can you talk about that? Or
it's still, part of it is still kind of a little hush-hush, but let's just say they're really committed to making that into a renovated hotel and making it nice again. And so, that'll be great for the softball tournament. That'll get people closer to downtown, closer to your place, all that. So I think.
Has that been used?
It's been there for years, and I think it's been open, but nobody wanted to stay there.
Right. Yeah. So, the way and the condition it was, it really needed some work. And they're really putting the time and the effort into making it happen. So they've got some great things on the horizon with that. And so we're just keeping an eye on that. And that's the thing. We are, we spur some of the development. Sometimes people just, they take it up and just do it themselves. And so that's what they're doing. And so you can imagine that's a big area, though, all the way from that end. So we're not quite down to the riverfront. And we talked about ways, how can we build on the energy of some of that riverfront development and bring that, up to downtown. And so we're working on some ideas with that. So there are a lot of great things happening in the community. We just need to, get them, focused a little more. Yeah.
How do we kayak from Dunham's through downtown to the river?
You work on an aquifer to get that done. It'll be pretty cool.
Yes.
That's quite a volunteer job.
That is. You're in charge, Jeremiah.
How do you do that?
I'll let you take that one over.
What is something surprising that you think would surprise people about you that they don't already know in Fort Dodge?
Oh, wow. I don't know if I'm a surprising person. I'm an Iowa farm girl. I did study in London for a semester. And I guess my one, I don't know if this is not really a fun fact because it's very sad, that I was on my honeymoon in London when Princess Diana died. And so my husband and I were in Hyde Park because there was nothing else to do in London. I mean, it shut down. Yeah, it shut down.
Wow.
And we were there watching the whole, and watching and with that, like 100,000 people, and just sitting there, and that's all there was to do, and all the memorials they had around, London, and it was just such a strange thing to be there when it happened. We were actually in Berlin because we did a whole little trip of Europe, and so that's kind of one of my big things. I'm a big travel person, and so I love history. Again,
going to go to the Iowa State game with me next fall?
Oh, I absolutely would.
In Dublin.
Oh, is that where they're I'm playing, there. I love Dublin, and
Iowa State's playing Kansas State in Dublin.
Oh, wow! I had not heard that. So
yeah, it's 3 days before my anniversary, so we're going to double trouble it over there.
There you go.
We have 2 reasons to
awesome.
go.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Have another reason. So anyway, that's kind of my claim. My husband was in the National Guard, and so he was stationed in Kosovo for a year. So we went over to London and then went over to Germany and did a whole tour of Europe type thing while he had some leave. And so we really love traveling. And so again, it gives me a perspective on how you can reinvigorate places. I mean,
absolutely.
I was in Berlin when in the early 90s, and to see it transform, then I was there on my honeymoon, and that was about 5 years later, and then be there again about 5 years after that, and see that transformation from, talk about a transformation, the East Berlin part in particular, where they just totally modernized it. It was 1950s era things. And so I really love that historic preservation, but also then modernizing what you have. So I'd love to see much more glass downtown, much more color and things like that. And how can we, just make everything pop and just make it, so attractive that people just want to come down here.
I love it. I got some ideas.
Okay, great. I love ideas. So I'm all about hearing ideas.
So what advice would you give to new residents about downtown, about how to visit it, how to see it?
Well, we have a great Convention and Visitors Bureau, Visit Fort Dodge. And so one of the things I would just do, even if you think, oh, I live here, goodness, I'm a visitor's guide, but really just go through it and make sure that you are seeing everything, because I think people miss a lot of things that we have in the community because they just don't know about it. I've listened to your show a couple times where I didn't know about that until someone said something, or different activities. So go to their website. We try to, direct people from our website, which by the way is mainstreetfd.org. A little plug there, but we try to direct people to that website because there are so many activities between, musical performances. That's one of the things I did. I went, Soldier Creek Winery. It's not in the district, but we want to support all these places that in the community, hopefully we can get them downtown to maybe do something with us downtown. But certainly there are so many different community assets that people don't think about doing. And so it's just pushing yourself, maybe out of your comfort zone a little bit.
There's
Come on,
always something to do in Fort Dodge. Right. Every day of the week. If you look hard, there's something to do.
Exactly. So just look.
Our very first show we ever did, she said we have 60 things a month.
Yeah. With Shelley Bodorf.
Oh, I can believe it. Yeah.
There's 60 things. So
yeah, every day. So is there anything you'd like to add? Anything we missed or?
No, I appreciate you having me here. I'm really, trying to get to know people. I didn't want to come on a show like this until I really felt like I knew a lot about the community. You don't want to come in thinking, oh, here I am. I have all the answers. This is how you're going to make Fort Dodge great. No, it's all about hearing from the local residents and the new residents and the longtime residents, everyone, and just seeing what is it that we have in common that we all want for this community. And so I'm all about consensus building and, bringing everyone to the table to have these conversations. And some of them along the way might be difficult conversations, and you got to embrace those too. But it's all about moving the community forward, making downtown a great place to visit and work and live. And so that's what I'm all about. And so I hope that some of my energy and the energy of my board and my volunteers with Main Street, that all that our energy is contagious and everyone just wants to be a part of it.
And with your energy, I can already see the more colorful, bright, everything that you just said at the last sentence. I was like, okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Man, I got a wall to paint. Okay. All right. Thanks for being on the show with us today. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mary.
That's a wrap at today's episode of Talk Fort Dodge.
Stay connected with us on social media and join us next time as we continue exploring Fort Dodge's stories through the lens of two lifelong Dodgers. I'm Jeremiahjcondon.
And I'm Todd McCubbin, and this is Talk Fort Dodge.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.